Folks, welcome into SportsbookReview.com Friday Major League Baseball show. What a week so far. We are going to cap it off in grand style, and we're glad that you joined us because it's ready to buckle in and have some fun. And for the first time this week, we don't have any in-play action during the day. We might have a game that's starting up about a half hour into the show with the New York Yankees. But before we do that, let's say hello to our esteemed panel. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Jason Radowitz, also along with Kyle Purviance, and we're ready to kick off the Major League Baseball show from my perspective last night. Come on, Astros. Look at this. Can't drive any runs in. And then the sixth inning happened, and off on our way, capped off by a Jose Altuve blast in the eighth inning. Never in doubt, an easy winner for me last night. Jason, how was your night last night on the Major League Baseball card?
Yeah, so went 2-0 with the show plays, got two team totals. Of course, the Angels and also the Astros, like you said, never in doubt, like we always say. But let's talk about those Mets getting that hit by pitch to win the game.
Oh, boy.
Cost me money.
As a
That
Mets
pissed
fan,
me off.
Disappointed it happened that way. But as a lot of people have been saying, in September, we don't think about those controversial plays in April. And we could have used that win, and we're happy taking it. So, selfishly, we're taking the win.
And by the way, I hear you on that because I had the in-play total I gave it on the show was the 2.5 for the Marlins. I'm like, this is fantastic. And when I saw what actually happened, it actually got me upset. By the way, JD Film says, definitely could have missed this episode. RightSide is on a legendary run. I have 6 wins in a row, which is great. I'll take it each and every time. I hope I don't lose the entire season. But last year on the Major League Baseball show, Jason, remember, I hit 17 in a row at one point on team total. So we'll see if we can raise it up there. Glad you guys were able to join us today. Kyle, welcome in, having some fun. The elbow's feeling good out there. And I know you're looking for a fast episode today of a few shows on sportsreview.com to get out on the links as if you are Justin Rose.
Oh, God, I'm so sick of Justin Rose. I need him just to continue collapsing, and that's what I get. Before the show, he starts to fall apart. 3 over through 7 holes. I start talking crap to Donnie, like, here we go, to Donnie and Jason. I love that he's falling apart, and then boom, there he goes with a couple of birdies. But no, the Masters picks are going well. Baseball has been absolutely fantastic. It's probably the best run I've ever had in baseball, especially to start a year when there's so many unknowns. It's been a ton of fun, and I really appreciate everyone in the chat box. Before we even start the show, the chat box is lit up. It's fired up. Really, really appreciate it. It's humbling. Don't forget to hit the like button. We'd love to get over 100 likes each episode, and then I don't have to yell and call names at the end of the show, which is always good. But yeah, looking forward to getting the shows out of the way, get out to the links, and get ready for a tournament tomorrow. So I'm pretty happy today. It's a good Friday, if you will.
Always Good Friday. 84,600 people have already hit the subscribe button for us on sportsbook.com. Thank you guys for doing that. We are on that quest for 100,000 subscribers before we kick off the NFL season. We can't do it without you guys. And again, bringing that fire. And I told you, we would build this thing because you're coming in, NBA's hot, college basketball is just getting done. Major League Baseball is here. The weather's starting to turn. The optimism for the show is not that we can't pick winners or we didn't think we could pick winners. We wanted to make sure that we brought the passion each and every day, gave you the information and the knowledge that you need to make your own decisions, because you know what I'm getting now? I always have my Twitter DMs open, and even in the chat box. I love seeing the people coming in with their opinion, what's right, what we think, hey, what do you think about this, and going back and forth there, because we don't all agree on the show a lot of the times, and we don't agree with the chat box a lot, and the chat box doesn't agree with us a lot, which is exactly the design of this Major League Baseball show. Now, since we don't have any action to sit on in play, let's get right into the card today, gentlemen. Let's have some fun. New York Yankees, Tampa Bay Rays, no longer in the Bronx for the Yankees. They head down to Tropicana. Kluber's on the mound versus Hill. If we take a look at the opening number of Pinnacle Offshore, minus 140, now sits at a minus 138. So not a lot of line movement there from Pinnacle. Opened up at an 8.5, still sitting 8.5 across the board. Down in the Dome. Jason, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so we got Kluber against Rich Hill. It's an interesting game for sure. Hill really didn't look great against the Marlins in his first start of the season with Tampa Bay. Allowed 4 runs on 5 hits. Did have 4 strikeouts, 2 walks, a lot of home runs, just 71 pitches. So I would assume the Yankees can definitely hit off them. I think Judge is getting another day off, and looks like Gio Urshela is also out. It looks like Wade's coming in and for him. So Yankees lineup, I'm not so sure about it. The top of the order should perform. But, who knows? I think Hill is probably not going to perform well in this game. This is a guy who's had high walks throughout his career. Right now, this year and last year combined, he's a 4.01 walks per 9 innings. That's a ton, and not getting many ground balls. And when you're going up against the Yankees, you're not getting ground balls. They can still slug it, even though Judge isn't there. I get it. So for me, I think I like the Yankees over 4.5 of the team total. I also think the Yankees win the game. If you want to just go money line, play it safe at minus 145. But these are both leans for me.
The issue that we have here, Kyle, will bring you into this game between the Yankees and the Tampa Rays is you see the name Kluber, and you immediately want to get back in a time warp and say 4 years ago, like, oh, my God, I'm getting Kluber today. He's with the Yankees now and playing minus 138. There's a reason for that. Relatively no 2020 season. What are we actually expecting to get back? And also, Jason brings up a good point. Like, what type of Yankees lineup are we actually getting today? I'm always more comfortable when the Yankees are going up against right-handed bats, to try to settle in now versus a crafty lefty, not an overpowering left-handed pitcher, but also not in a hitter's ballpark. To me, the Yankees always had the advantage when they play at home because they can hit a 315-foot pop fly to right field and it goes out of the ballpark. That doesn't happen. And specifically in the Dome where you're not getting the heat and humidity in. I think it's a decent look here from my side to be on Tampa Bay as a dog. Don't have any real interest in this game outside of that, but sort of a Kluber fade early in the season. What are you looking at, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you, and I don't love the Yankees lineup today, and for that matter, I don't love the Rays. So let's get it out of the way early. Here's my nerfy of the day. I like no runs in the first inning in this one. No Judge at the top of the lineup, and it's kind of murky. Is it an injury? Is he just sore? What the hell is going on with Judge? Kind of the same situation with the back issue with Mookie Betts, and of course Bellinger could be a whole lot worse for the Dodgers. But for me, I don't have a ton of interest in either side here, especially in DFS. Maybe if you want to throw a little bit of Lemieux and Torres and Stanton at the beginning because you never know with these guys. But I sort of like the first inning no runs. This is the one game that popped off for me for the nerfy, which is my new favorite term. And I even say it inside, and my son's like, what the hell are you talking about? And this is why you're old and boring, and me and my friends make fun of you. And I say the nerfy, but so I'll go nerfy. No runs, first inning in this game, and that's basically the only thing I'm interested in this game.
Yeah, trying to sit on an under because Tampa Bay usually plays to an under. It's like we're talking football. Like, hey, they don't really have a style that leads to an over. They technically don't. Not a great lineup in here. Some decent bats, but they're going to throw a lot of left-handed hitters at Kluber. So Sugo's a lefty, Meadows is a lefty, Lowe is a lefty. Who else is there? Wendell, Phillips. So all those guys that we're taking a look here. Kind of interesting as it stacks up, but not a lot from Kluber. If we're expecting him to get back to normal, that's probably what's going to take place in that realm from what I'm saying. So Jason, looking at this, lean from you, Kyle, really lean from you, lean from me as well in this game. Don't have a lot on this one, but it's going to start soon. So maybe while we're watching, if somebody jumps on a pitcher early, we could take a look at some of those live over-unders or even live money lines in this spot. Let's keep moving in here. We're going to go out to the West Coast and those champion Los Angeles Dodgers opening up in Chavez Ravine, 9:53, 9:54. Washington is going to take on the Dodgers. Ross versus Buehler. Nothing from Ross last year, so Walker Buehler takes the mound, and it never ends with the Dodgers. If you're looking for value to go against the Dodgers, like, ooh, we're finally going to get a pitcher that we can go up against. It's damn near ace every single day for the Dodgers. So we looked to talk about before that Yankee tax. It's no surprise here. Washington's a pretty good baseball team. They're getting 273 with Walker Buehler on the mound, the third starter for the Dodgers. Just let that sink in. Over under 8.5 across the board. Value, is there even value run line, Dodgers first five? Is there value anywhere in this game, Jason, that we're looking at here?
Yeah, look, you have Seager and Betts. They all have great numbers against guys like Ross. And I'm on the Dodgers over 4.5 team total. I got it at minus 150 on William Hill. Now I'm seeing minus 145. You can still get it on William Hill, so I don't need to see in that chat. Give us lines that we can get. You can get it if you're able to get William Hill. And I'm not going to give you guys a bet I don't take. I'm only going to give you the bet I actually take, because why else would I be here if I would give you bets that I'm not taking? So, again, Dodgers over 4.5 team total at minus 150. It's now minus 145. So, yes, you can still get it at William Hill at a better price than I got it. But anyway, this is Ross's first start since 2019. Lefty smashed him in 2019. He allowed a 314 average, a 430 OBP, and 118 at bats. Not a big K guy in the first place either. Just had 57 strikeouts in 64 innings pitched. So I think the Dodgers will do fine in this one. Obviously, it's their home opener as well. They're going to have some fans around them, rallying around them. I definitely think they can get 5 runs in this one. And when talk about Walker Buehler, I think he's a great pitcher. In most stats, he would be a number 1. 9.7 strikeouts per 9 innings, 2.32 walks per 9 innings. The home runs were a little bit crazy last year. Maybe he gets that down a little bit. That's kind of the one thing that he struggled with last year, is allowing some too many home runs. But this is a guy, he's a quality pitcher and should be able to get the job done versus Washington. Of course, Washington could still score 3 runs and get over their team total, but I would still rather rely on the Dodgers over 4.5. And I do think the Dodgers end up scoring 6, 7, 8, 9. So if you do have that 5.5 at your book, I would agree with it as well.
Party time out there for the Dodgers, what we think. But as Jason's original point he was bringing up here, wouldn't it be nice? Hey, guys, you were really bad yesterday. And we're like, we don't even bet these anyway, so what's the big deal? Come on, man. We're putting money on this stuff. We're not going to give you wagers that don't make any sense or we can't get or can't legitimately back and have some fun. Even yesterday with the Dodgers number, with the Astros numbers 4.5, I had a lot of people, I can get 5, and I said, look, hey, I don't recommend over 5. I think they're going to get 5 runs, which is obviously why I bet 4.5, and they probably can get more. No number mattered yesterday, but the Astros got it. But that question always comes up. The numbers we give are the numbers we bet. Of course, we like it at that number better than football season. Hey, the Chiefs are -7. Hey, Donnie, do you like it at -11? Not really. I think bet at 7. So it is what it is. But Kyle, looking at this game out here on the West Coast, Ross and Buehler, early start 110 out on the West Coast here. What are you looking at here between the Dodgers and the Nats?
What I'm looking at is it's crazy that you could take a team, take out Mookie Betts and Cody Bellinger from their lineup, and still look and go, holy crap, they have advantages across the board.
It's not fair.
I love the Corey Seager home run prop today. As a matter of fact, he's my home run call of the day, 5 of 7 lifetime. Huge advantage against Ross. In fact, even though he didn't pitch last year, hasn't pitched since 2019, the lineup for the Dodgers tonight is 14 of 26 lifetime off of Joe Ross. So everything points to the Dodgers here. The problem is there's no value. Even the first 5, you don't see this very often, where the first 5 is -185, -190. That's not value. Who the hell wants to bet that in the first 5? So really, for me, even though I like the Dodgers, I think if you wanted to take a lean to find some value, I'd take the run line just to drop that number down, because I do think the Dodgers get it done tonight. But what I will take is I like a little bit of pain. And I told you, every time I see one of these team totals at 2.5, I'm finding every single way possible to take it. -2 or over 2.5 runs at -140. So we're not hitting that 150 mark that we talk about here. So I think the Nationals over 2.5 runs, I think there's some value there. But really, if I'm betting this, I would lean Dodgers. And to get myself a better number, the only way I would do this is take the run line. If not, I would just pass on it because there's no value there.
Yeah, I'm looking at a team total. It does make sense. And when we did the original show to start off the season, talking about some future wagers, and nobody really likes to take a favorite in Major League Baseball because they're not -110 to win it all, the Dodgers, but obviously sitting at that +300 number. And the joke was they have 2 starting lineups. It almost like you see all-stars, like tremendous players, MVP caliber, aren't starting. You don't even blink an eye. It's like when you look at the Angels, like, oh, Trout's out. But you look at the Dodgers, like, so what? They got 5 more guys right behind that they can plug in and just let it go, Kyle.
Yep, absolutely. And I love the Dodgers today, by the way, in DFS. And you're without Betts and Bellinger, you're actually getting good prices on these players. Seager is going to be the highest priced one. There's no way I'm making a DFS lineup without him as a part of it. But I mean, look, even Pollock, he's better against, obviously, lefties than righties. But Pollock has the ability here. We're sitting here at 2,400 on FanDuel. Lux at 2,800 with a huge advantage against righties. Seager, 4,300. Will Smith, the catcher spot is always really difficult to pick when you're making DFS lineups. Will Smith, he's only had 2 at-bats against Ross, 2 for 2 with a home run and a double. So there you go. I mean, I know that's a small sample size, but the matchup dictates that you can actually get some value today with the Dodgers, and I still think they get it done. It's absolutely insane that you could take a Betts and a Bellinger out of a lineup and still feel really good about a team, but that's the way the Dodgers are this year.
Yep. So Betts is in the lineup. Bellinger's not in the lineup. Their third starter is on the mound going up against a playoff caliber team, and they're -275. So that's what we're digging here. And some even higher as -300s at some outlets. Crazy. How insane that is to actually look at. But also Washington getting a couple players back off of that COVID list. They'll continue to get those back over the next couple days to only strengthen their team. But a tough one to walk into in that Dodgers home opener. Let's keep going here. 961, 962. That is the Angels and the Toronto Toronto Blue Jays from down in Florida. We were talking runs yesterday, did not disappoint, and certainly did not disappoint early. I think every single person who's ever placed a wager in history took Mike Trout to hit a home run. So, hey, congratulations, bankrupting some of these books out here. Another cheap line opened up at -117 as a favorite towards the Los Angeles Angels with Heaney on the mound, now sitting around a 119, other outlets in that 125 range. And I thought this was going to happen. I did a show last night that we said most people don't understand that they're playing in a minor league ballpark in Florida. So you can automatically usually blanket 75 degrees. The ball jumps in that park. Yesterday, we looked at the 10s, and I said there was no surprise today if I woke up and we got the Colorado Rockies type treatment here. And here we are, guys, sitting at an 11 as a total. Jason, I'll start with you first. Down in Florida, we looking at runs again today?
So it looks like Phelps is going to get the start, and then TJ Zeuch is going to back him up.
Correct.
That's an interesting look right there. If Phelps is able to get through a couple innings for TJ Zeuch, you might have a chance where you're able to go 7 innings with both of these pitchers combined. And the Blue Jays are looking pretty good there against Andrew Heaney, who's the Blue Jays have a good lineup against lefties. They might strike out a ton. That's the one thing you might have to, look. There's 5 batters that can strike out 28% of the time or more against lefties in that Blue Jays lineup. But if they make contact, then they're going to make contact and hit for ISO, hit extra base hits, and do some damage. Especially like you said, the weather's nice. The ballpark is obviously hitter friendly. So I like the Blue Jays in this spot. I am an Andrew Heaney fan, but I do think the Blue Jays just match up better offensively, and that's enough for me to say the Blue Jays, as a slight underdog, can definitely win this game.
Yeah, looking at it as it matches up, because you do have an opener in this game, which is interesting. Kyle, we'll get to even some DFS maybe aspects of this, because we're staring right into one of those nice little stacks that you can look at, with Trout, Rendon, and Walsh going up against Zeuch. Mm-hmm. I mean, say what you want. We don't really have a huge, backlog of what he does. But last year, if we were taking a look, 469 weighted on base average to lefties. So maybe the underrated guys that you look at where Walsh might get to start today, a 463 ISO. Imagine a 463 ISO and a 439 weighted on base average versus right-handers. So he absolutely tattoos it. But Trout 433, Rendon 368, and Walsh 439, right in a row 345 anticipated in the lineup today. Looking at runs, looking at a side. What do you have, Kyle, today down in Florida?
Well, what I'm looking at is I'm looking at plus money, and look, all the numbers do dictate. Look, Toronto's going to have 7 righties in their lineup. They should smash the left-handers. But really, when you look at Heaney, 6 of 30 lifetime against this lineup, I think a team like the Angels, even when you look at the Angels' numbers, are like, okay, they're going to be better against lefties, but a lot of their hitters are very, very, like Rendon. Lefty or righty, doesn't really matter. We're talking about 0.1 of a percentage point here. Trout, the same thing. He's actually better against righties. Fletcher, a little bit worse. Upton, about 12 points worse. So the Angels have potential against righties. So when I see a team with all the talent that the Angels have, and I'm looking at a first 5 of plus 105, I'm like, you know what? I'll take these Angels. I'll take that plus money. I like Toronto. I do think their bats are live, the righty versus lefty thing here. But really, for me, I think Heaney's a middle price option in DFS against Toronto. A lot of people are going to stay away from it because of the lefty-righty matchups, and that's going to lower his ownership. So if he does pitch well, which he's certainly capable of doing against this lineup, and we've seen the Blue Jays, by the way, in great matchups this year, do what? They dud, right? And then the next day, when it's not the greatest matchup, they come out and score runs. I mean, we've kind of joked about it right there on Twitter and behind the scenes. So I think I'm taking the value here. I'll take the Angels first 5 if I'm making a bet on this. I don't mind stacking either side in DFS, but if I'm looking to be contrarian and give myself high upside, lower ownership, I'm stacking the Angels. I do think Toronto's a little bit over-owned in DFS today just from that strong righty to lefty matchup that people love to jump on in daily fantasy.
No, they certainly do. And your K percentage is pretty good there for Heaney, 25%. Yep. That's what you want, somewhere in that, low to mid 20s where you can get yourself out of some jams. But I agree with you. When you're looking at ownership in DFS, you're looking straight at numbers here. And I'm waiting for George Springer to come back healthy into this lineup because it's really good. And specifically against left-handed batters, if we're looking based on last year's statistics, and again, just a couple games of statistics from this year on how they've done against lefties, check this out. Simeon, 368 weighted on base average. Biggio, 380. Bichette 328, Teoscar Hernandez 364, Guerrero 366, Gurriel 350, and Grichuk 385. They can do damage, smaller ballpark. And it's kind of interesting because we had that same thing, Jason. Real quick question for you on this. You played in a AAA ballpark last year, and they hit very well. They're playing in a spring training ballpark, and it looks like that ball is jumping out of here. It'll be interesting to see once they get back in home to Toronto, if they ever go there. Or if I'm like a contractor, I'm like, yo, Canada, keep the border closed, man. We're good down here, as I'm going to stack up 35 bombs and make a lot of money.
Yeah, and that's why the Blue Jays are a potential play here, and they do have the bats, and they're performing, especially in these other ballparks. I'm not worried at all. But yeah, you might see with the Blue Jays, you might see the pitching struggle a little bit, just not having that home ballpark throughout the season, being in Toronto. So you might see a lot of over games with Toronto throughout the season. So definitely be aware of that.
Yeah, the tax is here. If we're looking at this game, if it was played in Skydome up there up north, or Rogers Center, as they call it now, this isn't sitting at 11. This is specifically ballpark. And also, can it be an overreaction from last night? Because as I was watching the game live, right away in the first inning, they popped up a 14.5 as a live number. And that told you what was going to take place throughout the rest of the game. Slowed down a little bit, as is, because it's very rare that outside of Colorado, you're getting 15 to 16 run games. But an interesting finish there. And I just wanted to see how that tax would be provided today. And there we are sitting at an 11. So obviously going to need 12 to get there. On my list here, I have 5 teams of team totals that certainly I think are doable here. And the favorite part about this is I like to go through it, but not actually tell you which one is my favorite one to the end. So we'll keep that in. I actually don't have anybody in this game that I listed as a team total. So we'll keep moving forward here, having some fun, because the game of the night, those first-place Philadelphia Phillies and the Atlanta Braves, as we go down to hot Atlanta, 955, 956. Opened up as a minus 125 favorite here, Pinnacle offshore towards the Atlanta Braves. Not a lot of line movement, 125, 126. Different outlets there punching in around 129, 132, depending on where you shop. But this is always an interesting look, because Wheeler was fantastic to start. And I know from the, Mets perspective for Jason, when he gets it going, the kid can throw a lot of pitches and throw a lot of heat. So a good start there by him. How about this? In Atlanta, 2 really good hitting lineups. The 8 goes to 7.5. Jason, I'll start with you first. Do you agree with that in a hitter's ballpark? Or is that just a product of the environment where these 2 pitchers might have some pretty good outcomes today?
Yeah, I like Wheeler, and I also like Morton. But let's not forget, Wheeler just threw 10 strikeouts against the same team. Does that change? Is the second time around, against the same team, does that change where now the Braves, figure him out? They have some tape on him. They understand his movements and whatever, and maybe that changes the Braves' approach. And maybe the Braves are able to hit Wheeler this time around. I think the Braves have the better lineup. I think that they can definitely do a little bit more damage in this game. So if I were to lean, or I'm not taking, I'm not betting on this one, I would lean towards the Braves to win the game on the money line at minus 130. But I also think that we'll get the under in this game. So I would look at under 4.5 in the first 5 innings. Even under 4 would be okay. These are both veteran pitchers. They're really good at what they do. And usually in the day games, you just kind of see these guys just kind of cruise. And we might see that again today.
These are my buyer beware type of games, because me being a Phillies fan, I'm going to sit back, watch, and enjoy the Phillies. But when you look at the weather forecast, anytime we're dealing with close to 50-50 rain, and you're betting on a pitcher to be good, I know you guys saw it yesterday with Barrios in that game, everybody holding their breath that he could come back in, because if that 15-minute break turned into 35 minutes, he wasn't coming back in, and that's part of the cap coming into it. It's like, hey, I know the Phillies bullpen has been good, but I would love for Zach Wheeler to go 7 innings and only have 8 and 9 innings in this one to keep in the ball game. So something to keep in mind, 71 degrees, wind blowing in. So not a great night in Atlanta where we see in May, June, and July, where you get up into the mid 80s, hot and heavy, and that ball is flying out of here. So looking at it from that perspective here tonight, Kyle, looking at Charlie Morton, good pitcher, crafty guy against lefties. He can be touched up a little bit here. So if one guy that's finally going to get off the schneid with a home run, maybe a look at Bryce Harper. But again, not great hitting conditions there down in Atlanta tonight. What are you looking at in this game between the Phillies and the Atlanta Braves?
Yeah, so I like it, and you're absolutely right about the weather conditions, and that's one thing especially DFS players look at, like, oh, my God, the wind's not blowing out. I don't think a home run can get hit. Sign me up for Bryce Harper for a home run tonight. You took the words right out of my mouth. 7-16 lifetime, a home run, a triple, couple of doubles, really good success against Morton. Look, this is the best pitching matchup of the night, right here. Like, this is a good game. Wheeler absolutely dominated in the first matchup, put up a 61. as a matter of fact, broke the slate, had a great performance. I don't have a lean on a side here. I think this is a really even matchup. I like both teams' lineups. I think the Phillies can score. I've talked about this all year, including the future show. The Phillies are not going to have problems scoring runs. It's if this bullpen can keep it together, and so far they have. That's why they're ahead, 5-1 and in the lead in the NL East. So I look at the Phillies. When I look at a team that I think can have success against Morton, Didi and Harper in the lineup here, a couple left-handed bats and get things going. I look at a team total of 3.5, and I'm getting a number of 115. I like that number, and I think the Phillies can get there. So for me, my favorite play on this game is the Phillies team total over 3.5. I think they get there. I think they have enough offense to do it, and I think those lefties can get there, and I don't mind the Bryce Harper home run prop either. I think he gets off the schneid and gets it done tonight.
Yeah, cool stuff, man. Over almost 350 people watching live in the chat box. Thank you guys for joining us here on a Friday, talking a little bit of Major League Baseball while the Masters is on, and having some fun here at the networks and supporting everything, because the likes are up, the show views are up, everything is hunky dory here, and we do thank you guys for that once again. But let's get into the rest of the Major League Baseball card, go around the odds. And now starting to filter in, because I told you guys in the tease video, I liked 5 different teams today that had a legitimate chance to hit their team totals. We're going to start getting into that today. And we're going to start right here, 9:51, 9:52, 4:35 Eastern. That's 1:35 out west. An over-under that's sitting at 8 across the board. A favorite to the San Francisco Giants and Johnny Cueto, who actually opened up Offshore Pinnacle at minus 144. Now sit at 156. So some money coming in on the San Francisco Giants. I like both of these team totals. I'll explain why in just a few moments. But before, when I said there's a left-hander on the mound, you better be checking out those Giants. Jason, go ahead with this one.
Yeah, just exactly what you said. I got like the Giants over 4. Team total at minus 124. So, of course, yes, I think they're going to get 5 runs, and they can get the 4.5 as well, if that's what your book has. Now, it's interesting, though, because Austin Gomber is pitching for the Rockies, and he's one of the weirdest pitchers in baseball, just because he's got a really high walk rate, solid strikeout rate, and then somehow he's just able to get outs and balls in play are in hits. Which is really weird. He's better against lefties, or he's better against righties and lefties. So he's a weird pitcher. But here's my thinking, right? Because Donnie always says, and I completely agree, the Giants against lefties, they are fantastic and they do really well. And we got a bigger sample size on the Giants versus lefties than we do have with Gomber against anyone. And I think the Giants can definitely score some runs early on. Now, let's not forget, Gomber, he did have 7 walks in that first game that he started this year. That pitch count rises, and it rises fast when you're throwing that many walks, and the Giants are working at bats and whatever, and the Giants aren't going to strike out a ton. And the top of the lineup can definitely get some walks as well. So I think the Giants, if they're able to score a couple runs early versus Gomber, knock him out, then you get that Rockies bullpen. And the Rockies, they're a bottom 10 bullpen. And I know the Coors Field helps that a little bit, but they're still not a great bullpen by any stretch of the imagination. So I definitely think the Giants can score 5 runs, maybe more in this game. Just get a couple off of Gomber. I'll be happy going to that 6th inning. If they have 2 or 3 runs, I think they can get to that 4 or 5 range, and definitely 6-7, especially it's their first game at home, the home opener. They have fans rallying around them. I like the Giants here. I think they can definitely score some runs, just hoping that they can get some balls, like hits, against Gomber.
Yeah, chilly weather as usual in San Francisco, 55 degrees. The wind is blowing out dead center field about 18 miles an hour. Keep in mind, that's usually anywhere between 10 to 20 miles an hour at San Francisco. The same way where you watch a game in Oakland, the wind is always blowing out the center field. It's just the way the ballparks do sit there. So you don't want to feel as Wrigley, feel like, 20 miles an hour Wrigley, it's an auto bet on the over. Does it help? Sure it does. But there is that big marine layer out there that you deal with where that ball gets stuck, and we'll see how it plays into it, because we haven't seen the de-juiced baseballs in San Francisco yet. But taking a look at the slate here, Jason brings up some good points. Gomber, the lefty, does very well against righties. But here's the issue. Gomber's the lefty. You know who does really well against lefties? That entire San Francisco Giants lineup. Look at this murderer's row coming in. Like, you figure it would be like a Yankees payroll or something at $400 million. Slater, 441. Yastrzemski, 373. Solano, 354. Ruff, 393. Flores, 360. Posey, 474. Dubon, 357. That's 7 of the 8 guys absolutely crushing left-handed pitching between last year and early this season. Is that going to make a difference today, Colin, what you're looking at?
I mean, you're 100% right, and I don't know what it is. Listen, when I see Johnny Cueto in the mound, I instantly jump to the other side, and everything you guys said is 100% right. So the Giants are absolutely live in DFS, and you always get a good price on them. They're never going to be overpriced. And Donnie also made a great point about the ball. The ballpark in San Francisco is designed to not allow those winds to have the kind of impact it would at other ballparks because it always does that. So when you see 20-mile-an-hour winds, you're just looking at the weather, you're like, holy crap, I need to jump on all these hitters. That's not necessarily the case. You got to tamp that down. Take like 10 to 12 miles an hour off that wind and then use that as your sort of mental compass in terms of wind blowing out. But that being said, I like the Rockies team total today at 3.5. I really think they get there. Johnny Cueto is not very good in any scenario, and he's not great against this lineup either. The combined lineup tonight for the Rockies is 26 of 84 lifetime. That's a 310 average. When you look at their hitters, let me get to their hitters here. I love Blackmon tonight, 14 of 42 lifetime, a home run or two. Trevor Story, usually I like him more against lefties than righties, but I think he can get it done tonight. McMahon, Hampson, I love all of these guys tonight. I think the Rockies get over that 3.5 team total. It's one of my favorite plays tonight. And I also think the Rockies, for me, are a live dog when I look at that plus money against Johnny Cueto, who, again, I think is one of the worst starting pitchers over the last 5 years in baseball. I love the Giants. That's my team, has been for 32 years. I'm taking Colorado plus money, but really the bet for me is the team total over 3.5.
Yeah, and I actually like both team totals a little bit. Colorado a little bit less than I do like San Francisco because you are looking at Johnny Cueto, and I don't think he's a great pitcher, and lefties do hit him well, but you also have to give that downgrade to Colorado where they go on the road as opposed to being at home. Everybody hits in Colorado, but not necessarily on the road at this point. But that should be an interesting one coming up here at 4:35 today. I do think the over should be a decent look in this one because you don't have overpowering pitchers, and I'm leaning on that Giants team to break out a little bit and sort of, set the stage with 5 to 6 runs to try to carry that over. But let's keep going down the list here. Now, how about this one? You ready for this? I got a team total I like in this game, and you can say you want pain. I got all the pain in the world. Novocaine can't even cover this well. Morphine won't help this one, so let me explain it here as we get through it. 963, 964, Detroit. Tehran's on the mound versus Cleveland and Plesac. If you look at the numbers here, a minus 186 opener here for the Cleveland Indians. Not a lot of movement on that number across the board, but we do have some massive movement on the total. Opened up at 8. You know what it is now? 9.5. And I agree with that move, Jason. What are you looking at here?
Yeah, I think I like the Indians minus 0.5 in the first 5 at minus 135. I think the Indians can definitely score some runs. I'm hoping. Just cross your fingers. You just never know what's going to happen with these Indians in that lineup. But Ramirez and Rosario, they're good enough to get a couple runs on the board. Those two are going to have to carry the entire offense throughout the season. Maybe a little bit of Franmil Reyes involved as well. But it's those guys are going to have to carry that offense throughout the entire season without Lindor now. But Teheran, obviously, he already faced them once this season, allowed just 1 run, 5 innings pitched, had 90 pitches in 5 innings. So, the Indians are going to work the count. They're going to be able to get Teheran out of the game early, even if he's performing well. And that's usually not the case. Usually he's a struggling pitcher and not really great. Walked 4.71 batters per 9, allowed 3.22 home runs per 9, and strikeouts just 5.7 per 9. So, and that's 10 games started. So we're talking about 10 games. It's a solid sample size, and he's allowing 3.22 home runs per 9 innings. So maybe look at those home run props for Ramirez, Rosario, Franmil Reyes. All of them have great chances of hitting a home run against Teheran. Didn't happen too often versus Teheran in that first start. Hopefully they look at some film, they see what they did wrong, and they start hitting because the Indians have the pitching to get the job done. They just need to hit the ball, and losing Lindor does not help their case at all.
No.
Now, here's what we're looking at. Julio Teheran on the mound. And it's been a while since I've seen numbers like this. And this is where you have to use your head a little bit and try to separate yourself from saying, it's the 7th inning. The Indians have 2 hits and 1 run right now. Why did I even do this to myself? But you can't think of it that way. Each day is a new opportunity. And if you completely close a team out of your opinion, you're going to cost yourself money in the long term. Julio Teheran, based on just, a start this year and going into last year. Let's just forget about the right-handers that he gets out. Let's just take a look at the lefties. 93 batters. Weighted on base average of 428 in ISO of 449. It almost astounds it to me, like every other batter is hitting at least the top of the fence off Julio Teheran from the left-hand side. That's almost what it equates to in my mind. So when you look at the lineup for the Indians, is it great? No. But let me let you in on what we're anticipating tonight. Gamble, lefty. Hernandez, lefty. Ramirez, lefty. Rosario, lefty. Naylor, lefty. Bowers, lefty. Jimenez, lefty. 7 of 9 from the left-hand side. And there's a reason where I joked with Kyle before the show. What would you say? Cleveland's team total should be like 3.5, right? Just who cares who the pitcher is? It's 5, and it's there for a reason. And Cleveland is going to get that team total tonight. Is it a best bet? You're going to have to find out. But I do like Cleveland going over 5. Am I insane on a Friday, Kyle?
You're not insane. Here's the thing. This game is probably causing my hairline to recede more than it should, and I even take the damn vitamins.
Must-see TV.
Every number dictates that Cleveland is going to smash tonight. Every one of their hitters except for Josh Naylor has an advantage tonight off Teheran, and I feel like this is day one all over again because we've had this damn conversation. I absolutely love the home run prop for Eddie Rosario. As a matter of fact, he's had one career at bat against Julio Teheran. Guess what he did? Knocked it out of the park and hit a home run. A huge advantage tonight for Eddie Rosario. Cesar Hernandez, not really known as a home run guy, right? Middle of the pack, bottom middle of the pack, I guess, if you will. In 44 at bats and 9 hits, 4 home runs. So I just gotta. It all points to the Indians. I like the first 5 for the Indians at minus 130, I believe it is. Here, let me double check that number. First 5 minus 130 for the Indians. I like that play. They should absolutely get to their team total, but that's a lot of pain. You got to have a lot of trust in that damn lineup because, as you know, they have been painful to watch, but I don't disagree, and I have a ton of them in DFS. I love that batting order in DFS. I actually don't mind Plesac as well as a DFS spot today. You can get him for 8,600 on FanDuel. I think he's got some upside there. A 34 and a 66 in 2 of his last 3 starts against Detroit. We know the Tigers stink. So let's keep picking on the Tigers. Let's hope the Indians can drive these runs in because I'm on the Indians tonight.
I mean, if they don't do it tonight, because we're looking, again, it's early April, so maybe it's like, hey, maybe the weather's 40 degrees like we saw snow on opening day when they played against Detroit. It's decent today, 73 degrees, wind blowing out. Is this a night where Cleveland finally starts to launch? Or I need these tweets tonight. 7th inning, 1 run for Cleveland, and we all get a good laugh out of it. But they are on my board as the possibility of a play for tonight. Let's keep moving forward. 967, 968, San Diego and Texas. It's going to be Musgrove versus Arihara. Opened up at minus 174, now sits at 178 as a favorite to San Diego, and rightfully so. Over-unders at 9 across the board. We're looking at some hits in this game, Jason. Where are we going between these two?
Yeah, I like the Padres, minus 0.5 in the first 5, minus 125. Arihara coming from the MPB, now in the MLB. His first start was a bit concerning. Allowed 6 hits, 3 runs, just had 1 K. Really didn't have any put-away stuff, and we know that the middle of the Padres order can definitely hit, not strike out nearly as much, and I think it's a good spot for the Padres. I know Tatis is out of the lineup, and the Padres, their offense has struggled, and literally it has struggled. I think they've scored 2 and 3 runs in those 2 games without him, and it's been pretty bad, but Joe Musgrove, his first start was fantastic. He's a big guy, strikeouts. He averages 12.42 strikeouts per 9 innings, limits home runs below 1, and walks 3.1 per 9 innings. He's able to leave nearly 80% of runners on base, gets 50% of ground balls. He's a great pitcher. Wasn't really talked about because of his time in Pittsburgh, because who was talking about Pittsburgh. But now he's with San Diego, and he's a reliable pitcher. He looked really good in his first start against the Diamondbacks, 8 strikeouts, no walks, 6 innings, allowed just 3 hits. And Texas, Diamondbacks, they're like the same offenses. They're both really not great on paper. Of course, Texas has had their moments. They've looked okay at times, but I do think Musgrove has a great advantage against that Texas Rangers lineup outside of Lowe, who's the only batter, lefty batter that can do any kind of damage. So just look out for him. Hopefully they just intentionally walk him and move on because he can get everyone else out, especially with 50% ground balls. So, yeah, I like the Padres here. I think they can score a couple of runs early in the first 5 innings versus Arihara. I'm not too high on him. hasn't really faced MLB pitching throughout his entire career. Now he's there, and he couldn't get many strikeouts in his first start, so I don't expect many strikeouts in this start either. So give me the Padres minus 0.5 in the first 5 at minus 125. I like them in the spot.
Yeah, you're going to get a full 9 innings of at-bats there for the Padres. Obviously, it's being on the road, also doing a little bit of due diligence on this game. That roof should be open once again in Texas. Let the heat, let the humidity in, let the ball fly out. So if you're looking for a total in this game, which I do agree with you, since San Diego is a look on my card today as a team total. And sometimes when I just rip around and I see, anytime I see like Texas is that, this is the great thing about taking team totals. Usually I look at this game as a side and be like, I don't even know what to do with Texas. Like, it is ridiculous. So I look at their lineup and I just pass immediately and say, I'm only going to look at the Padres team total as a side here. Kyle, looking at this game tonight down there in Texas, what do we see?
Yeah, I'm Jason literally said every word I wanted to say. I love the Padres first 5 here. And you sort of said what I don't even bother with taking a side full. If I'm taking a side, it's always first 5 nowadays. I don't even want to deal with bullpens. Like, you want to give yourself gray hair. Try to go through and figure out which relief pitcher on each team is good and what spot they come in. You'll never have an answer. So you leave it to this first 5. You're counting on the starting pitchers getting 5 innings for the most part, unless it's teams like Tampa Bay, that do that weird ass, 1 inning every pitcher. Let's throw 35 guys out here every game, just trying to ruin baseball with their nonsense. But I like the Padres first 5. I like a couple of lefties in DFS for this tonight. I like Hosmer. I like Cronenworth. I think they can get it done in the middle of the lineup. I think the Padres team total is absolutely live. One of my better bets of the day, I think Padres first 5. I have it at minus 130. Jason's got a better number at minus 125, which is why you need to go to sportsbookreview.com, shop the books, find the ones you can play at, because you can get a play 5 cents, 10 cents better. In the long run, that does add up. I know it doesn't seem like a lot now, but if you want to keep making profit and you want to do it the right way, you should shop them up. But I like Padres first 5. I think that's the play today, and I like. The only Texas player I have marked in my player pool for DFS today is, of course, Nate Lowe. As Jason talked about, he has a massive advantage tonight. Almost 50 points better against righties than he is against lefties. So that would be the one thing. But I like Musgrove. I like the Padres. I like Padres first 5. So that's where I'm going with this one.
Yeah, Alex L says with the dead ball now, over is going to be tricky to cover. They are going to be tricky. So you got to pick your poison on which games make the absolute most sense, including, as you guys know me, I'm checking weather conditions religiously because that is a monster difference. I'm not probably on in Houston last night if I didn't know if that roof was going to be open. Liked it if it was closed, but once it was open, what did you see? Bomb after bomb go out for Houston last night. You need home runs if you're going to be able to hit some of these team totals. And that brings us into the next game, 965, 966. The game I had last night, the Houston Astros, looking at having that roof open again, 85 degrees, humid. The Astros bat should be able to hit. But today, you're not getting that, Cole Irvin, soft, underhanded throw that you can just light up 400 feet into the seats. A little bit different today with Manet on the mound, the lefty versus McCullers. Opened up as a favorite here for the Houston Astros, 166, now sitting in that 162 range at Pinnacle. If you're shopping at some of the New Jersey books, as high as 178 as a side for the Houston Astros, and a total of 9 down with the Astros. More of the same, where the Astros just crush Oakland and just send them to basically the unemployment line. Are they going to be sellers after like April? Amazing stuff here as we look at it, Jason. What are you thinking down there?
Well, why did we take the Astros yesterday? We took them because they were going up against a lefty. Now Sean Manaea, another lefty, pitching for the Athletics. So, the Athletics, their offense looks miserable, looks terrible. I think they'll be back. I think they'll be fine, but don't put your money on them until you see it actually happen. So I like the Astros here. I think against the lefty, I think they're fine. I think over 4.5 is still, live, still a great play at minus 125. I think the Astros win first 5, full game. I like the Astros in this spot. McCullers, he's a guy really hard to read. He gets a ton of ground balls, a ton of strikeouts. Walks are a little bit high, but he keeps the ball in the yard. So he's an interesting pitcher, pretty good pitcher. I think he'll do better against the Athletics compared to Manaea against the Astros. So give me the Astros in this one if you're going to be betting this one.
Yeah, I'll tell you, as I was looking at with Manet, the lefty, obviously struggles a little bit against lefties, which is always kind of interesting to me. They're the guys you're supposed to get out, but not a lot of left-handed bats in the lineup for the Astros projected tonight. Brantley, Tucker, Alvarez, but they do have really good numbers against lefties overall. Altuve, 418, weighted on base. Brantley, 388, Bregman, 376, Correa, 368, and Alvarez, close to 400 as a weighted on base average. Which way are you looking at this one, Kyle? Any underdog looks on Oakland, or are they just dead in the water this year?
You can't. You just can't until Oakland shows something. So we're 7 or 8 games into the season, right? They have a minus 40 run differential. They've scored 19 bleeping runs in 7 games, 8 games. And then on the flip side, the Astros are tied for the best run differential in the league early on the season with the Reds. So how in the world could I, with the look you straight in the face and say I'm taking an underdog look on the A's when they've been absolutely dreadful? And you're absolutely right. Sean Manaea's last 5 starts against Houston in terms just of fantasy points, only 1 time did he get out of single digits. So not only has he been absolutely torched by Houston, but the A's are pathetic. I mean, they're a group of players right now. Remember in Little League when you had the kid that only played 2 innings and you let him play right field, and that's because every kid had to play 2 innings back then? That's the entire Oakland A's roster right now. They are an absolute embarrassment. 19 runs through 7, 8 games is pathetic. They're losing by an average of 5 runs a game. Until the A's do something different, I can't do anything with the A's. So I will get the better number first 5, and you'll tend to get this from the money line. You get a minus 130 first 5 for the Astros. I'll take it. I'll take McCullers in DFS. I love it. I'll take that Astros lineup in DFS because I love the team total. It's Astros or bust. Until the A's show you that they're ready to be professional baseball players this year, you just can't bet on them. Could they do it tonight? Sure. Absolutely they could. But I haven't seen it yet, and I'm certainly not willing to put any money on a team that has scored 19 runs and given up 59 through 7 games. No, thank you.
I mean, how much money is actually Marcus Semien worth, or how much money is Chris Davis worth where you just take them out of that lineup and they can't do anything? So we'll see if it's a long season, but you bury yourself against a division rival. It's very hard to get back up off the carpet. We'll see if they can do that tonight because they certainly do need some wins. Not necessarily do I think it's coming tonight. And just an update here in the baseball game, the Yankees did go down 1-2-3 in the first inning, so 3 outs to go if we're looking for a no-run first innings wager.
Need that nerfy, boys.
Not much change here. Tampa Bay favored minus 108 in that game. Live total 7.5 plus 1.5 at minus 188. So not too much here as we obviously only see through 3. Last game of the card, we'll talk about 9:57, 9:58 out in the desert in Arizona. Maile versus Widener. And look at this, 113 to 145. Those Reds are pressing here. And you know what? I tend to agree with because of these 5 games I talked about, the Reds are sitting square in the crosshair rate me for a possible best bet Reds team total play. It's the only way I can go in this game if I'm looking at either side. It's not so much that I really like Cincinnati. It's Arizona does absolutely nothing for me at the plate. And now with their starting pitcher, bullpen, anything alike. The Reds are out hot early. Jason, we'll start with you first in this game. Any underdog look, because it's very rare you see a line open up roughly as a pick'em and race to a big favorite.
Yeah, so I bet against Widener in his first start. It was against the Padres. He went 6 innings, allowed just 3 hits, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks, and no runs in that game. So that's what's putting me away from this game. But, of course, I completely agree. I think the Reds over 4.5 in the team total is the play here. I do think the Reds obviously match up extremely well against Widener here. It's just right now, Widener already screwed me once. I learned my lesson. I hope that whoever takes it ends up cashing because it is a great play, and I do see a ton of value in it. But this is a guy that looked not terrible in his first start and has that kind of relief mentality, high strikeouts, really high walks as well, but his batting average of balls in play, 0.197. So, like, when you get runners on base or whatever, and you're able to get 9.35 strikeouts per 9 innings, and you're able to limit batting average of balls in play to 0.197, and you can get out of damage doing that, and that's what he's kind of done, and that's why he kind of has that relief mentality. But I agree, he should get smoked by the Reds here. So I do like the Reds over 4.5 team total, but I'm just putting it out there that there's potential that Widener could have another great day if he's able to get high strikeouts and the batting average of balls in play is below 200.
Yep, and he'll be golfing by the 4th inning here, so I don't want to lead into anything right here. But if we take a look here at the Reds lineup, sure, we don't have much to go off of this season. So you try to mesh in last season, but each one of the batters tonight for the Reds that are digging in have at least 13 at-bats against right-handed pitching. Let me read you these numbers. The leadoff guy is 20 at-bats. This is a market correction here. Yeah. A 5.29 ISO for Naquin. Castellanos, a 619 ISO. Suarez, 231. Moustakas, 267. Senzel, 231. Barnhart, 333. He does do very well righty on righty. Lefties can have some damage. Anticipated 4 left-handed batters of the 8 eligible batters tonight for the Reds. Naquin, Votto, Moustakas, and Barnhart. I see runs in this one. I just do, Kyle. I just do.
Yeah, and I love that Akbar says that, because typically when I overly bash an NFL team, if you watched our NFL show all season, if I bashed a team like I just bashed on the Reds, or on the A's, oh boy, they end up having the best performance of their lifetime. So it's important that we do throw that out there. I have this weird voodoo with the universe. But no, this is Reds, and more Reds. And I'm looking at my bookie right now. I'm getting a -105 first 5. I think the Reds stomp on the Diamondbacks tonight. Every single batter in their lineup is in my DFS player pool tonight. I love the Reds team total. I love the Reds halftime. I love the Reds full time. I mean, let's talk about some of these advantages. And you talked about how we're just getting this year. I'm using a weighted 3-year average. So I'm going from 2018, 2019, and 2020, which gives me a big sample size here. We're talking about 103% advantage for Tucker Barnhart. That's insane. One of the biggest ones you're going to see. And I always think those are goofy, but you're getting him at 2,600 on both sides. Love that in DFS. 13% for Senzel, 27% for Castellanos. Even Suarez is a little bit better against righties and lefties, even as a right-handed bat. Joey Votto, 60%. Jonathan India at the bottom of the order, 13%.
I like that kid.
Yeah, I like Jonathan India an awful lot. And by the way, you're getting him for $3,000 on FanDuel. So I like the Reds. I like the value on the Reds. I'm stacking the Reds. It is Reds panty night, Isaiah. You are absolutely right. I am in there. Let's get that red panty night. Love the Reds, halftime, full-time, and team total. I'm all on the Reds tonight.
No, you know what I always find interesting? We hit the high water mark right now, about 415 people watching on the show live. Awesome stuff. But it always seems to peak right around when this bar drips down to best bets on the Major League Baseball card. It's a Friday. Let's party into the week. We've already had a great week. I'm not expecting losses. Let's keep the train moving tonight. Jason, I'll start with you first. Your best bets and bankers on this Friday Major League Baseball card. Yeah,
I love the Dodgers over 4.5 on the team total at -150 via William Hill. So I think the Dodgers will be able to get 5 runs in that game. Also on the Giants over 4 on the team total. So I also think the Giants get 5 runs in this one. If it's a 4, of course, I will push at -124. But like I said, I like the Giants against the lefty and Gomber. And then once they knock him out, they get the bullpen at home, and they should be able to do some damage there. And then lastly, of course, I like the Padres -0.5 in the first 5 at -125. I'm a big fan of Musgrove. I think he's not talked about nearly enough. And I think the Padres finally get their offense moving just a little bit with Tatis being out of the lineup. They've struggled recently, but I think they'll get some runs here and help out Musgrove a little bit.
There you go, Kyle, stepping up to the plate here. Best bets and bankers for you today on this glorious Friday.
Well, first of all, let's say our first bet already cashed, because that Nerfy in the Yanks-Rays game went ahead and cashed. So there we go. So we're off to a good start again already. I love the Rockies team total over 3.5. I think they get there tonight. And my second one would be the Reds first 5. I'll take that better value. Reds first 5. I think you can take them full time as well. And if I'm giving an underdog, I'll say the Rockies are the livest dog for me tonight. Maybe the Angels first 5 as well. Home run prop, Kyle Seager for the Dodgers. Let's go Dodgers. Those are the picks I will give out tonight.
Yep, now I'm going to go with, and, will it be Colorado, San Francisco, Cleveland, San Diego? It's Friday night, which means it's night, which means at 9:40, we're all going to be tuned in, East Coast time, out in the desert in Arizona. Of course, I'm going with the Cincinnati Reds, absolutely raking right-handed pitching. I think that will continue tonight. And also keep in mind, a big reason why I like the Astros game last night, we're talking about roof, we're talking about conditions in warm environments. We're not talking about worrying about 55 degrees, 60 degrees. If the roof is closed, it still should be a decent game. But if anybody's watched anything of what they do out there at Chase Field, even if you start with it closed, because a lot of times in the summer, it's the desert, it's hot, it's 100 degrees. They open that roof later in the game, 4th inning, 5th inning, 6th inning, let that heat come in. So if you have a slow start, 2-1, 3-1, 1-0, that heat will come into that ballpark and certainly provide a lot of good offense, or what we anticipate being a lot of good offense. Also, keep in mind, this is a National League ballpark, so we do have a pitcher, but the one good thing about this, which we weren't going to have last night, because the A's weren't a participant, is we only got 8 at-bats yesterday for the Astros. Didn't need the 9th at-bat. The one good thing here about betting the Reds, you will get a full 9 at-bats regardless of the score. I think they get their team total tonight with a 4.5. I took it at William Hill earlier at -130. That's where I'm going to close out a perfect week so we can cruise off into the weekend. But a fun show, as always, boys. Let's clear the bases here, make sure everything's gone. And also, talking about clear the bases, Kyle, we're going to be lining the chalk here in just a few moments and setting up hike, correct?
That's what's up. Yeah, make sure you watch the NFL show. You know, we're doing double. I delayed my tea time for this. You guys better be there watching the damn show. Donnie and I are going to have a good time. Plus, it's always good to, keep the NFL on your mind. We know how, and the draft is coming up. We got some good topics for today, so I'm looking forward to it.
No, it's good stuff here. Jason, I know coming into the weekend here, you get to sit back, and usually it's like, hey, let's decompress. We don't have any shows. There's a lot of baseball on Saturday and Sunday to get after, and I'm certainly looking forward to it here in that aspect. The thing I always like to bring up is how much we enjoy you guys coming in here and keeping us vibrant in the chat box, because if you don't show up, we don't do this. And I know a lot of people follow me on Twitter, and sometimes, it's a little bit of sappy stuff. There were times where I was doing shows for nobody. I didn't know if anybody out there was ever listening to me, and it's nice to be on with a group of guys like these three here, the guys behind the scenes at SBR. This is a lot of fun for us to do, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed it as well, Jason. But looking for a big weekend here, we can have some fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a great weekend. I'm really excited. Of course, Saturday and Sunday, you get the big-ass slates, which is always really fun. So it's going to be a great time. Excited, and no sleeping for me throughout this entire baseball season. We got to keep going.
And, of course, a guy with Philly Sports Passion says, I like Harper to finally get a home run tonight, first of many. If he's going to hit one, it better be tonight. And we're expecting it, because I'm not going through a season where Bryce Harper has 11 home runs and they're trying to defend him on why he's making $300+ million. So it is what it is in that aspect. Great stuff here. Thanks for another great week here at sportsbookreview.com on the Major League Baseball Show. I'm Donnie Seymour. He's Jason Radowitz, along with Kyle Purviance. Good luck on those wagers, and we'll see you Monday, same time.